How much should you pay yourself when you run your own business? In today's episode, we reveal the ultimate guide to paying yourself as a woman CEO. Over the course of the last 18 months in my coaching, in the free training that we do, and certainly in the conversations that we have inside our coaching programs, we are really doubling down on financial literacy, on understanding your numbers, not because we are trying to transform our CEOs and entrepreneurs into chief financial officers or their own accountants or bookkeepers, but because money and currency is an essential language of business. And when you speak it, the better you are able to run a profitable business, to employ really great growth strategies, and also to act as a partner with your directors of finance or your CFOs or your accountants or bookkeepers. And I hate to say this, but I will. A lot of you guys are really outsourcing financial decision making and putting accountants kind of quote unquote in charge of the money side of the business. And you're doing it because you don't have the financial empowerment that you need to be an effective CEO. And so I have seen this. I have been in your shoes if this is you. And so that's why we're really bringing much stronger financial acumen to the work that we do on today's newsletter. And if you subscribe, you're going to get your hands on this. You want to subscribe right away, though, before we issue our next newsletter, because we don't send them out retroactively. We went out and surveyed 15 women entrepreneurs about how much they pay themselves. And we asked them, what's your revenue? How do you pay yourself and how do you take that money? And we have those results published in the newsletter. So I just find it's always really interesting to see how our peers are doing it. And you're going to see that we've got women entrepreneurs ranging from 200K to 2 million plus. We're showing a complete breakdown of their compensation. So you definitely want to go and get your hands on that. So let's get down to business. How much should you pay yourself when you run your own business? And the honest answer is as much as you dang well want to. And truly, as a woman owner, you get 100% autonomy to decide what you're going to pay yourself each year. The challenge, of course, is that you also have 100% autonomy to overpay yourself or underpay yourself or mismanage capital, thereby starving your company of the money it needs to grow. And of course, if you're just happy paying yourself whatever you want and it works for you, fill your boots. But if you are scaling, you want to practice really good financial management in your business and you want a rationale that you can apply consistently, then this is really key. Businesses need fuel to grow, and that fuel is cash. Early on in your business, you probably worked for free or for a percentage of the salary you'd make working for somebody else. So this is very common early on in the business. But as your company matures, you are not only going to ideally start paying yourself more, but you will often take a share of your profits and reinvest that money back into growth. So you may find that you take some of the extra cash that you have and you hire a team member so that you can free up your time and focus more on sales and marketing. As I'm about to point out, any money that you take out of the business to pay yourself is money that the business doesn't have to fuel continued growth. And resources are finite, right? So the money that you take out of the business is money that the business does not have to grow. And so most founders are continuously navigating this dance between building their own personal nest egg and making sure their company has the money that it needs to grow. And ideally, you want to be creating a business where both are possible at the same time. And here's how I define a financially healthy business. Number one, you as the owner are paying yourself at minimum a fair market salary. Number two, you have a 15% plus profit margin. Number three, your taxes are set aside ahead of time. And number four, you have 2 to 3 months of operating expenses in cash. And again, go to safimedia.co/newsletter if you want this in written form, you want the actual report, so you can reference it again and again. So CEOs are generally compensated with a mix of the following. Number one, a base salary. So this is what shows up on your pay stub. So if you have like a team and you have, you're issuing regular payments, et cetera, your pay stub would show your base salary. This is what you get paid every 2 weeks or so, like any other employee. The next component are owner distributions. Now, if you are a CEO at Walmart, you're going to get things like bonuses. Small business owners entrepreneurs generally get owner distributions, and owner distributions are typically calculated periodically. And then the third part is equity. And this is your ownership stake in the company. Now, this is a long-term compensation, and you only realize it when you sell your firm. So if you think about this, your base salary, that's like getting paid consistently. Owner distributions are often taken periodically, could be monthly, could be at quarterly, and then equity, this is something that you realize in the long term if and when you sell your company. So those are like the three main components of an owner's compensation. So let's talk about how you calculate your base salary. Now, I just want to point out that it often takes months or even years to get your business to a place where you can pay yourself a consistent fair market salary. There has been research that has showed up to 50% of all entrepreneurs have gone 6 months or more without paying themselves anything at all while they were paying other team members, right? And so if you are not paying yourself consistently yet, don't fret. We want to get to that point 100% because you want your business to be financially healthy and you want yourself to be financially healthy. But getting into the blame game or feeling bad about it will not help you. So your goal as soon as possible is to have your company be in a position to pay you a fair market salary. But how do you calculate a fair market salary? Now, there's no science to this. It is definitely more of an art, but I want to share some guidelines with you. So the first thing that you want to do is to identify the one job you do in your company most in addition to being a CEO. Okay. Then you're going to Google average salary plus that job title, a CEO plus a marketer, a CEO plus a salesperson. Let's say you own your own company and you own a boutique social media agency. Therefore, you are first a CEO, but you are also a social media manager. So you'd then go and look up fair market salaries for social media managers. The average salary for a social media manager working in Canada is $53,000. Okay, so you can use this as a base salary, and Glassdoor is a pretty good place to start getting basic average salaries for a role. So $53K, that is your fair market salary for one of your jobs. But remember, it's not your only job. You're also a CEO. You're not a full-time CEO. In fact, companies under 2 million do not need full-time CEOs. So you're probably only a CEO like 1 to 2 days a week, right? Is when you're acting as a CEO. So then we need to figure out, how do we compensate for that? What I would generally do here is I would, again, Google average salary, and then I would Google general manager. And then we're going to take a portion of whatever you come up with there and add it to your base salary. So let's go back to our example. Our social media agency owner, she Googles average salary plus general manager and finds that the average salary for a general manager is $90K. She's going to take about 25% of that because she's going to say, okay, I'm spending about a quarter of my time as a CEO or as a general manager. So I'm going to take a quarter of that salary. That's $22,500. Okay. So 25% of 90K is 22,500. So now we've got two pieces of information. We have your general manager salary, your CEO salary, which is 22,500. And you get that for being a CEO about a day a week. And then you have the role that you work inside the business. In our example, it's a social media manager. And that was about 53,000. So she adds those both together and she gets 75,500. And that's sort of an initial penciled in number for what she should be paying herself. Now, what's very interesting is when we were really taking a look at how much women owners are paying themselves, very few women owners who were generating under 750,000 paid themselves much more in salary than 80,000 was very typical. Not sure how you feel about that number, but that's sort of your rough working number. But from there, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to basically adjust that. So you're going to take a look at that and you're going to ask yourself, can I live off this? Do I need to make any adjustments? And in an ideal world, you are able to live off your base salary. And that anything you take later in terms of owner distributions or anything like that, that really helps you to build a nest egg and build wealth. But in an ideal situation, I would want you to be able to live off the base salary that you pay yourself. Okay, that's just a great rule of thumb. But whatever number you come up with, in my example, it's 75,500. That's your base salary. You divide that by 26, and that's what you're paying yourself every 2 weeks for the entire year. All right. So that's calculating base salary. Now, the next part is where you get to calculate your owner distributions.